make a start now. So, just a formal intro to everyone, and thank you for coming and joining the meeting. And myself, Ritesh, and I'm going to give a walkthrough of data engineering. Why it's we are organized this session today, and what we are going to cover in this whole journey, and also I'll give a background like what are the things you need to learn in this process and what can be a successful path to change your career from any of these stream, be it programming or maybe network or security space, or you are a database engineer or anything. So how you can make your career in data engineering, and also what's the different prospects of demand in the market, why it's becoming more critical for the business, and how and what are the things we need to uh, area, or what are the things that company demanding these days. And we can I can guide you through and also try to point out those area to make uh, your journey or help you to in journey for transition from data engineering, or if you're already a data engineer, what are the things you need to learn now to become a more like senior level data engineer as well. So uh, uh, I think you guys already gone through that description, like what we have in our agenda. But to also, I want to give you a view. Like, so once you will start this journey, and I give you a walkthrough, like what what is the trigger point for me to deep dive in the data engineering space, and having a like a successful career in the developer space almost 7 years for me. But once I realized, like I seen that I was working in a financial domain, so where there is a lot of demand of the data, and I can see that the company doesn't have any process to basically like how to aggregate all those data, and also maintaining basically how to aggregate all those data from different space and make something meaningful data uh, which can be used for making some decision, analyzing the customer pattern, and also how it can be you can apply the all the compliance related uh, rules that if you are in UK, like GDPR is one of the rule that you need to ensure that whatever the data you're capturing from the customer perspective, you need to maintain that it can't be misused. And there are the cases in the past as well, like Facebook, there is a breach of Facebook data, they have to have a penalty of that, even they change their name as well. So you can understand the criticality and impact of this the data breach, and why not only the data is required, you also have to ensure that securing that data. So data engineering not come with only the programming and also the making the functional thing, it's come up with the security aspect as well. So you need to ensure that your platform is more secure, uh, along with the functionality we are achieving with the data engineering. And and also you have to think about broader perspective. You can't be a one technical guy for a data engineering, so you are a forefront for business users as well, for the security users as well, like security team as well, and the operations, like if your company have an analyst, and if the company have data scientist team, they are basically making the models and making the machine learning models which can be helpful for forecasting or, and also for the prediction. So for that matter, you need to ensure that you can understand the connecting point, and you can understand the criticality in an organization, and the visibility you get in the organization. That's pretty much a game changer for you for your career as a data engineer. So for me, that journey started very similar to on that fashion. And when I realized that the value and the gaps that in data engineering space that it is have, so we can make a jump from the work that I'm doing, and having a position where I can have more visibility and also have the more critical part of the organization that I'm handling. So this is how I have started, and I help a few of my colleagues, and also try to build a successful, like which can be a touch barrier for anyone that who wants to in that journey. So I'll give you some glimpse in that session, and we'll take the questions as well, and also I'll give you like how to some sort of knowledge of building the one of the data platform and how can you make it secure, and in the end I will show you a demo as well. So yeah, I think if you have any question, put in the comment box. I'll take that in the end. And also my team is also in the back end. They can also answer some of the questions if they feel. And otherwise, I'll take it at the end. So that's not a problem. So I'll take a start from here. In case of any question, please let me know now.
Thanks, Ritesh. I think that's one of the biggest point that you said, that you did a transition. You did a successful transition of your career from being a developer, backend developer, to data engineering,
And
which is very hot nowadays, and you are equally showing the responsibility on your shoulder, that how important it is for the corporate. It's not a training. It's about anybody can learn, but for any corporate, how the complete solution looks like, that it has a very big requirement from the information security side of to meet. That means without that, nobody can. Without information security, no packages or no applications can be deployed in any of the environment. So that's really interesting to know. Thanks.
yeah, thank you. So let's take it further because I already lost 4 or 5 minutes there in the session. So I just jump into the data engineering. Like the first question that comes in mind, like what is data engineering? Why we should learn? So I covered some of the aspect, and as I also has capture some of the aspect. But in total, like what exactly is data engineering? Why like it's more become more demanding, and like it's a people want to jump in that career. So it is a, if you just go to this figure and you can understand there is a lot of things are written. So a lot of technology prospect is written like ETL, stream processing, complex event handling, then database engineering, data lake, data warehouse. So I'll try to catch up, give a view on these points. So data engineering is, it's a kind of a uh, it's a kind of new stream, you can say, which is a mixture of software engineering and database engineering. So you also you are building a pipeline. So pipeline is nothing but which is basically create a streamline, which is like taking the data from one place. So you have the data in many places. So suppose that you are working in a any of the organization, like if I'm taking the bank. So in the bank, there are a lot of systems where the data is stored. So financial data stores in Oracle, and transactional data store in SQL, customer data is stored in the Salesforce, and ledgers are stored in the SAP. So, but business, you just never have a view like in all the data as an aggregate manner. So, so data engineering, what it does basically, it's create a aggregated view. So if I want to understand the customer, like I want to understand the customer behavior in terms of their spending, in terms of their uh, approach for the new query, like the query that they are raising, and also I want to see their ledger balance as well in all the prospect in a one at a one dashboard. So for that, I need to aggregate the data all from all the places. So data engineering, it's a game changer for it, because earlier we have a problem to connect to the Salesforce, connection with the Oracle and SAP. So platforms like cloud-based data engineering. So I'm just trying to touch upon the cloud-based because it is ready-made system which give you connectors. So you can connect to all these discrete system which is in silos, like they are not connected to other systems. So now you can connect and extract the data. So here they come up with the pipeline which has the connector, and that connector basically take the data and transform the data. So in the pipeline, you are basically transforming the data. So suppose that some of the data are duplicates. Suppose that SAP has some data, SAP system has some data, Oracle database has some data, which are duplicacies there. So to mitigate that duplicacy, you are doing the transformation. So actual programming logic comes in that picture, in that when you are doing the transformation. So pipeline is something where you are basically doing the transformation. And then once you that make that transformation, you're putting the data in some sort of a single truth system where all the data resides and anyone can trust on that data. Okay, this data is aggregated from all the systems that the organization has and anyone can rely. So this would be available on the basis of demand. So it can be available for data scientist team to make the machine learning model and a data analysis team to make the analysis purpose. Like suppose that we want some graphs, some charts, so they can use the Power BI. Power BI is a Microsoft based tool which makes for the data analysis purpose, and some of the other application can be made. So now you can see that your journey starts from discovery to all the data, and then you architecting this whole architecture, like you are understanding how many pipelines need to build, what am I going to the data warehouse, which all going to be consumer, and then we're actually building this using the using the cloud based platforms like Databricks, your ADF like Azure Data Factory, and in AWS Kinesis. So there are a lot of uh, products given by the cloud-based providers to make this. Okay, so in summary, here you're taking the data from different sources, then you putting the data in the data pipeline, pipeline doing all the transformation on the business on the basis of your business logic, and then once you refine the data, unified the data, you are putting the data in the one location. So nowadays, like it's very famous, MongoDB and Cosmos DB and Synops of the Microsoft and Azure SQL. So that can be treated as a like a data warehouse, which is going to be a single truth for the organization, and where can apply all these uh, secured level things. Like you can have the single access, you can have the give that all the GDPR rules and policies that needs to be applied. So you can also making the secure of all the data. Okay, so this is like it's very brief description about the data engineering and why it is more critical in once you are handling this data engineering related technology and products. Okay, so I'm moving ahead. So I think some of the parts I've already covered, like what value add that it's going to give for an organization, because once organization is putting a lot of money to getting that data, they definitely have some purpose and they want maximize that. So uh, this is how like data engineering and something that should give a more benefit than their investment. Like earlier what happened, once you want to build that this sort of pipeline, you need to procure the licensing from Microsoft or maybe other vendors. Like you have to be a .NET framework, and then you have to be have your OS, and then you're building taking the licenses for connectors, you're making the like you want to connect to the Salesforce, you have to be have writing the code. So you need to be hire a lot of developers, database guy, network guy, and then also have the tester and all. But having that cloud-based system, it is like it's ready-made all the ready-made all the platform, and also giving the lot of connectors and the product to make this happen, like to make this product for the organization in quick succession. So it doesn't take time. Like I recently completed a project which hardly take 3 months for me, my team to build that, and it's live now. So and earlier the similar sort of client gave a very good feedback. Like if for the same volume I want to make that this product, it take maybe 1.5 years because I need to hire multiple developers and then database guy, and investment wise it's almost triple of that investment. So that's how it's saving the cost and also making that product it's quite easy, and also it's a it's a, give a value for the data engineers as well because they are handling multiple things. So you can see the first thing like data governance. It's a very most challenging things in current days. Like data is something everyone's want the data, but the security measures that government is putting and the other security organization that you need to ensure that data is not breached. So you need to maintain the data governance. So once you have the data at one place, it's very easy for the data governance. effectively and efficiently you can collect the data, because route you have all the system to connect your database systems, and you can make a single truth system. Also, you can, once you have the data, the other team, or maybe you can also build the decision making on using those data, because now you have all the aspect of your organization, and you can understand, like, because to make any decision, even in our usual day, like whenever we make any decision, we need some facts and figure in the background, right? We can't take decision, it's like whatever we thought. We take some decision on the basis of some past event, on some of the events, like we do the calculation on the basis of data. So that is how corporates also make decisions. So but right, corporate take decision, they need a lot of huge amount of data, and which is should be processed, and uh, also like it should be fast as well. It's not like that you taking that time to building that whole data warehouse, and taking a lot of time to build that, because the kind of market is changing. You need to like take decision very quick, really, because if you're taking the decision too long, then it might be outdated. So that's how decision making process very easy for the corporates, and to go ahead in this space. Also, future prediction is the one of the critical thing that we have covered. And what are the benefits? So benefit wise, I have covered, like, you have the good governance, you can have the data availability for everyone. So data democratization means like you are, this data is available for everyone. Anyone can access that data, whichever have the authority, which person has the authority in the organization. Earlier, you want to access the Salesforce data, because you need to then understand the Salesforce as well. You need, if you want to access the Oracle data, you need to understand the Oracle. But now, once you make that single truth system where the data aggregated from all the systems, now you can use the Power BI or any other system which makes a graphs and also give the stats. Then it's quite easy, right? So it's data democratization is something, it's very popular word in these days, because you want to available for everyone within your organization, the limited person that who's supposed to access. And obviously, like, once you have the data, you're making the decision, so it's a competitive advantage. That's why to taking that advantage, corporates are hiring a lot of data engineers. So it's, you like surprised to get to know, like, people used to see very words like data scientist and data scientist, machine learning engineer, but actually the demand is very low for them. Like, once you have one data scientist or machine learning, but actually to build those products, like, they want to access some data and building the machine learning model, in total they need that data, and that data is built by the data engineers. So data engineer hired first, then the data scientists get hired. So even I've worked with a couple of organizations, I've seen that uh, there is only hardly like, if I considering three data engineers or maybe four data engineers, then there is a one data scientist. But the thing, these words are popular in the market, like data scientist is the only thing. There is no concept of data engineering. That's totally different. And this is the right time to move your career in the data engineering space. And I've helped them multiple colleagues as well, and they successfully transition their career. So, and they are taking that benefit. So this is uh, this is I'm trying to convey that message to you guys. Okay, so once you have that base, that knowledge, I'll take a pause if you have any questions, and then I move to the being that how data platforms looks, why we need data platforms. So any question, Azaji, if anyone questions, I can
So I
happy
think
to.
that no, that's very good conversation that you had. That you actually said that you are helping others to transition into the career, and you already helped three, four
Yeah,
of your, um, I
colleagues
mean, the
and
new freshers or the whosoever are already into the world of the IT. Yes, you
yep.
help them. So that's what the gist over here is, that we as together we should help each other to grow. Yes, and you will see that at the end, I will be uh, actually communicating everyone that if anyone is stuck at any place, if anybody is facing some difficulty in how to transition my career, or if at work they are getting problem that this is not working, how to, what's the best practice that I should adopt, just get in touch with us. I will be sharing with everyone a link through which they can book 30-minute session with us, and we all together can help. We can help even from the information security side of it, data engineering side of it, database side of it, or any platform engineering side. So there are many aspects that we can help you, and that all comes with, you don't have to think about money. It's a help. We want to make everybody success as we have been. Thank you.
Thank you. So moving ahead, so I'll talk about the what is data platform and how exactly looks like once you work in a corporate, and how the companies wants to build a successful model. And it's I'm trying to give you a framework like how this data engineering whole thing works. It's not just only the transformation. It's not that you're connecting one system. It is a holistically, it's a lot of things are there, because you can understand data can comes in a real time system. Like if you are, suppose that we watch cricket matches, right? So data comes in a very real time manner. Every second data is changing. If weather data, it's keep on changing every second. So it can be in any form. So you can see I'm taken one of the data architecture from Microsoft, and this is a modern data architecture where your system is able to capture the real-time data, and then unstructured and structured data. So unstructured is, it can be your emails, video, or anything. Then semi-structured, like your JSON, XML format. XML is a very lightweight JSON as well. So uh, companies use the JSON for API connections or making any of the web related products. You want to make that, take that. So suppose that you want to weather data. So you just hit the API of that in UK, like we have Met Office. So you can just connect that Met Office and their API and hit that, you get the JSON format of the data. Then you have the relational databases where we have the tabular formats in SQL, like whatever the in SQL we do, it's a relational. It's a very defined, like three number of columns, four numbers of rows, everything is defined. So it's very defined. That's why we call it a structured. And there is no SQL databases which is structured and non-structured both, like Cosmos DB, MongoDB. These are the which can handle the structured and non-structured both. So these are the some of the formats. There are a lot more as I talk about Salesforce, SAP, Oracle is structured as well. So it can be any system. So this architecture, it can connect to any of the systems which is available in the market, obviously that known one. And also you can handle the real-time data, uh, batch data. When I'm saying the batch data, like suppose that once in a day you are getting the data in a CSV format and you want to dump it in your system, then you can use the batch data. And
So when you say the batch data, can we say that if a trade has happened, so if you have worked in the financial industry, the Bloomberg data comes as that it keeps changing. So the prices of the shares keeps
mm,
changing. The traders depend upon those prices, and the next prediction can happen from there. So the millions of rows come as part of that, as foreign exchange rate, or how many trades happen, what companies have traded, and what was the position, the accounting data. So
mm,
all that data is the batch data, right?
yes, yeah,
Because,
yeah.
okay.
So that's true. Like in stock market, that's a very good example of. So once like trading over for that day. So companies take that data, they purchase basically data from the exchanges, and that data captures like delivery of that stock. So suppose that one stock is take clients has taken that delivery, so it's more than 90%. So it's high chances that stock can go high because delivery is quite higher for that, and people believe that this stock can go up. And then their frequency, their vita, like what is the transaction level. So volatility of that stock. So there are a lot of like maybe thousands of different parameters that can be taken, and on that basis they build that model. So it's a kind of a batch data that comes.
Okay. So Ritesh, so Dave here. So when you are
Yeah.
talking about the batch data, okay.
Mhm.
So we will take the Azure example, right? So I
Yeah,
am taking the stock exchange data. Overnight, my ETL job is running, right?
yeah.
So, what will be the most appropriate approach, to get delta data? I mean, so every day I cannot take entire tables. I
Hmm.
have to take incremental data, right? So
Yeah.
delta data, right? So what is the best approach in Azure Data Factory, or I'm using AWS Glue or simple SSIS? Okay. So what is the best approach to get the delta data?
Yeah.
You got
So
my. So how is the strategic for my watermark? Say example, I have two source. One is
mhm,
Parquet CSV, another
yep.
source simple Salesforce database, right?
Mhm, yeah.
What is my approach to how do I understand which watermark data I have to fetch, and how do I define the watermark? So how do you maintain those things?
So yeah, so for this scenario, like one of the main key factor maybe your for is it's a date. So if you're taken the previous day data, so obviously the new data that's coming with the new date. So one of the parameter, and like I've seen a scenario where we are getting the delta of some of the data. So basically, uh, you can define some whatever you can say a primary key or maybe a composite key, which is a basically the new data is coming an incremental one. So before once you take the dump in data in your data lake, from there in the data factory, before inserting, like you are firing that data in the database to insert the data, you make that comparison. So you can compare that top of the row, like what's the data we are getting, and then compare that and then pushing the data. So basically you can do that comparison in data factory, like data factory I've used. So I have seen that you can do that comparison, and
Mm,
through this you can avoid the your duplicacy as well. So there is one way. I'm not sure about the glue, but in data factory you can obviously do that.
mm. Oh, okay. Okay, I got your point. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So thank you. Moving
And in
ahead.
terms of delta, in terms of delta, people who are not aware about what is delta, delta is nothing but a change. So if you have got 100 rows in one go, and then 50 more rows got inserted afterward, or 10 rows got updated. So those changes are called the delta.
Thanks, Ajay. So moving ahead. So as it shows that you have all the sources here, and then we're taking that data using the Azure Synapse Analytics. It's one of the core component of for the data pipeline. So behind it, it's a data factory is there. So data factory is Azure Data Factory. It's one of the product which is a cloud based. So that we call managed services. So whatever the services that is in managed by the Microsoft, they take care of the deployments and everything. That is called managed services. So that is a managed services. It's already in place in the cloud. So we use that service to take that all the data and dump in the data lake. So data lake is the kind of a storage where you can take any sort of data, which can be your you can say that uh, tabular data, maybe CSV, maybe structured, non-structured, all sort of data you can pull in and put it one place. So it's a raw data. Raw data means like whatever the original data you have taken from your source system, you're putting all the data in one location. So at least you can ensure that the data that you take now one place. So it's a raw data. It doesn't make much sense because now you have to aggregate all those data and make something meaningful out of it. So once you have all the data, then you can do the transformation again with Azure Synapse Analytics and put in the storage. So this is one of the Azure Synapse Analytics is nothing but it's one of the component of Azure Synapse under which you are basically saving in a SQL format, and it is a distributed manner. So initially it was known as a SQL data warehouse, but recently, like 1 year ago, they have changed their name. So now it called as a Azure basically call it distributed SQL system. So it is a clustered base. When I'm saying clustered, like you can make multiple node. So you can like you can define the backup as well, and you can have the multiple compute system so that your data processing. Okay, so it's a like different different, like one of the other concept of data engineering. You can talk about it. As of now, you can understand it has the capability to save huge amount of data and processing time can be reduced, compute operation can be reduced. So now you have make a single truth of data, aggregating all this data, putting it in one place. It maybe looks simple, but it's not, because once you want to interact all these systems and putting in data, because you need to understand their terminology, and then you need to understand the configurations, you will see of challenges. Uh, Apart from that, you need to ensure the security aspect. But luckily, once you have that cloud-based systems, you need not to much worry about it, because they come up with the default security measures. And top of it, if your organization, we'll talk it later as well for the security aspect. But yeah, it's a and but with cloud it can be easy, and they have the connector, so you can easily do all these things.
I think
These
sorry, I
connecting
think
the
that you're
different
breaking,
source
you're breaking,
systems.
you're breaking in between. Sorry. You can put your video off if you want, please.
Okay. Yeah. So I just wanted to touch this data warehouse, so which is a SQL system. Is it is fine now?
Not that fine, but yes,
Ajay,
better.
can you hear? Okay. I think challenge internet again giving me some pain now. Okay, so you have that your one place for data warehouse. You have all the data. Now you can build all the analytics out of it. So again, you can use the Synops analytics, which is basically spin up some of the Spark pool, and you can build the you can take the data to build the Power BI. I have covered that. It's a tool for analytics, and then it can be also used for the machine learning. So Microsoft gives a ML ops, so you can extract the data and build the machine learning model. You can have the cognitive services like speak your speech recognition and your text recognition. So these sort of solutions that you, if you want to build, you can use easily. But you can now you can see the criticality is the more critical system is extracting the data and putting it at one place. So that's basically done by the data engineers, and making that connections and all this always with the data engineers. And this area comes mostly with the data scientists and machine learning engineers. But for them, it's a source for them. So if it's not built in the organization, there is no use of data scientists and engineers. So that's why it's become more demanding. And then on below you can see my purview. So Azure Purview is for the data catalog, and it's a it's give you a holistic view to the business users. So business is not going to understand this whole architecture and journey. So they need a kind of idea. They can see that, okay, how data is flowing. So Azure Purview, what it does, it takes the data, it's basically read all this journey and create a graphical view like how data is flowing in the different systems. And if they want to go deep level, they can go up to the table level and even at the column level. So Azure Purview again from Microsoft to having the control over the all the data that's flowing within these systems. So Azure Purview, and also this helps to the data governance. These platforms have the security thing, so you can have the Azure Active Directory through which you can uh, have the governance over the access level. You have the key vault, you can store the keys there uh, in this storage.
So
So you need
thanks.
not to remember any of the key. And
On the key vault, what can we store? What's the key vault basically?
so So Azure Keyboard store the user ID and password. So earlier, what was the challenge? Like you need to share with the developer as well. These security user ID and password. Now you can store in the Azure keyboard, and that can be accessed from the your once you're building like Azure Data Factory. You can directly use through the use as a managed identity, and you can use that from the keyboard itself. So it's also at one level of security it's inbuilt. You need not to share with password anyone. So it is a it's also take care of the security aspect.
Yeah, true. Thank you. And it's very useful. I
Is that
think so.
answer to your question?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you rightly said that it can use. It's
Okay.
all about secrets to store. So it can store even your security keys. That is your encryption keys. Yes. So it's all about secrets. Any secret that you have got, you can actually with the API. You don't have to read the API to programming. Can talk to each other to fetch the username, password, to fetch the encryption keys, and it can the whole process can be automated. There is no manual intervention. There is no password sharing also involved. So it's a very wide. It's a very useful. Key vaults are very useful nowadays in all the DevOps culture.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Ritesh, if my data is loaded into
Yeah.
ADLS,
And top
right?
of.
So, okay, sorry,
Mhm,
you are telling. Okay, so if my data is loaded in ADLS, right? So I fetch
mhm.
the data and I made a raw layer or landing layer in ADLS. Can I create key vault on ADLS? I don't want to share the access to developers
You mean
to
data lake?
ADLS. Yeah, Azure Data Lake Service.
Yeah.
It
So you're
can,
saying
right?
that if you have the data lake,
Yeah.
yeah. So basically, all the ADLS is a service, right? So you understand is this what like all the services like ADLS is one service, your data factory is a one. They can talk to each other. Like if have defined the you want to secure it like you have your own ID, user ID and password. So basically that you can store in the Azure keyboard, and once you given that access, so suppose that the person who is accessing your ADF, he got that access, and you added security key that is added. If you are using in the data factory, that it's able to access the your ADLS basically. It's not like if you're securing it. Otherwise, if you have the same subscription and it doesn't have their own security level, then it's need to having in the keyboard. But
Okay,
if
you
you want
mean
to
to,
secure
okay,
control over your data lake,
okay, you mean to say I have
yeah,
to first create the key vault for ADLS and that secret key I have to provide in ADF, right?
No, no. What he means
yes,
that
yeah, that's
the
true.
yeah, secret keys can
So
be secret keys are there in
even
the
it
keyboard. I think they right. So the
Yeah.
the
question is being
keyboard,
asked from
that's
them, right? So
yeah,
the secrets, all secrets will be on the key vault, and the
Yeah.
ADLS or be it the ADF. Yeah, when it needs the access to the data lake, it will interact with the key vault first. It will fetch the username. With the username, it can fetch the password as a paired key, the JSON format. Yes. And from there, it can use that and then log into the or use the resources from the data lake as well. Otherwise, it can also have the AD integration as well. So with the AD also, you can do many things. So
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
are
Correct.
service, yeah, there are service principal names.
yeah.
There are multiple ways.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's very true. So once you like configuring in the Azure Data Factory, like you want to connect to the ADLS, then you select it's connect with the managed identity where you want to use the keyboard, you whether you want to use the or whether you want to give that ID user ID and password. So those options are given. So rather than giving the user ID password, you can use the keyboard. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay. Thank
I
you.
think
Thank you. I think in the best
it's
interest of the
thank you.
everybody's time, keep moving, please. We are about to approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So uh, I think I covered at high level the data platform and then aspects because in the real scenario, actual building of this platform and the functions, it's 30 to 40% you can say. But having that deployment, having the security measures, and taking all the approvals, having a pen testing of the systems, and also in which platform it's going. So all those aspects take around 60% of your time and energy. It was a lot of discussions as well. But the good thing is that once you start implementing the security aspects at very beginning during the development, you can reduce that time. So that's why it's a very good practice to having the security measures. You need and security at the basic security level you have in our platform. So I try to segregate at very in the pillar manner. So at 5 pillars that I've defined it. So first thing, we want to have the control access on the all the services that you use in the data platform. So it may be your data source, or maybe your the raw data, the data lake and data warehouse. So you can manage with the managed identity or service principal, or you have given those authentication. Similarly, once you have the data, so your data might have the credit card number, maybe in UK we have the postcode, and maybe birth. So you can encrypt that data. So encryption logic, it's very easy to implement, especially in Azure that I have seen. So data encryption you can do. You can have build the custom encryption. So that is also come up with the in Azure Data Factory, that you can also do in Synapse as well. And it's like you're taking the data from your source location from maybe any of the web services or maybe Salesforce. You can implement the HTTPS protocol. So data in transit DLS. So these are inbuilt functionality. You need to take the leverage of those functions that is available. Then data at rest. So once your data at the data lake or maybe some, so you need to ensure that it has all the encryptions and you can take the leverage of that. And the last aspect is network, because once you connecting to the external world or maybe in different cloud or maybe your on-prem sources, then you need to ensure that whether we are using the private virtual network or managed virtual network. When I'm saying the private, so if you're using Azure Data Factory and your data in at the block, so private network rather than using the managed network that is being used by the Microsoft. So you can do that with uh, uh, with Azure Cloud, and I have a demo for it as well. So this is how you can restrict the access, and also you can define the particular data factory. So that sort of security you can inbuild rather than having the anyone can access, like it's a public. You can define the network within which network, or you can also put in some of the virtual machine, and that can be treated like a, yeah, that's something that can be built. Ajay, if you want to take it, hello.
Yes, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
there.
you want to cover some aspect around, yeah, security.
Oh, security. Okay, so from the security aspects, you already covered the private endpoint. You already talked about the virtual network integration. Yes. So the best practice is to tighten your security peripheral so that it's not impossible for in these days to breach your network, but it can be minimized at least. That's the goal of a security perspective, and that's why you have to. I was working on a project which was multi-million project, so it was close to. We were at a stake of 51 million data center project, which we were trying to migrate to Azure at that time. What happened that everything was built and we came to know that our project is going to fail because the information security team, they came and actually scanned our platform and they found so many breaches. They said that in the whole solution has got so many breaches. It is the risk to the bank. It is risk to the customer data. So we can't allow. So everything was about to fail, and the senior management, it had already taken 1.5 years of the man hours onto those ones. So many, like almost 51 team members were working on that. Yeah. Um, Finally, I was the technical delivery head on that one, and I said, okay, let's try and give us another 3 months to implement all the security measures, whatever they came up with. And one of the big measure was that we did is the private virtual network. Yes, we implemented the private virtual network endpoint, and then after that, there were others like including in the database area, you have the defenders to make it up so that DDoS attack cannot happen. Yes, uh, there were key vault implementation because the passwords were visible. So they had the key vault. There were encryption keys to be implemented. But luckily, we achieved the in 3 months. We achieved the goal, and we were still on time to in the project delivery. So it matters. It can close. It could have closed down my entire project because of that. So it's for the information security. Once they said that you have to do it, there is no question that you're not going to do it. And all CTO, be it CEO, they will all be with the information security team. They will not be with the business team at that point of time. So they want to protect.
Hi Ajay, Alok this side.
Yeah.
So I would like to add a couple of points on the security area where when you are developing your network or any application, the couple of most important thing we need to keep in mind. The first important thing is that zero trust. So as you can see that all the breaches happens only when the trust is compromised. So while building your new applications, a new system, or maybe some of the existing systems, we must first need to understand that which all components should be trusted, and this trust, whether it is coming from the internal source or it is coming from the external source. So zero trust is a mindset all the developer, all the architect or the security architect, all the data engineers should have. And the another security components, or maybe the element every security professionals or anybody who is working on such area is the defense in depth. So if one layer of compromise has happened somehow, the other layer will be there standby to protect the system. And the third one is of course the awareness. So you, whenever we are developing, the developer are the weakest link in any system, who should be always uh, aware about that what they are developing and how securely they can develop. OWASP top 10 is one of the most open source platform where people can learn, understand all such kind of things, how to develop the secure code or secure systems. Yeah, that's it, Ajay. Thanks
Thank you.
for
No, I think that the InfoSec has got a big say, and
yeah.
the irony is that it's not said. It is understood that you will follow the process. It's not a requirement put in your project. That was the key that came as a surprise to me, and that's why it's important for every IT engineer, data engineer. The data engineer are the biggest contributor into data security side of it. So they should always remain aware of these ones, and that's why I like the point that from the unsafe data to the sensitive data handling to the data in transit to the data at rest or network security, all this very well integrated, Ritesh. Thank you very much. It's a good one. So would you like to go for now the sharing the demo for how to build a solution? Are we covering that?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I think already top of time, but apologies for delay. But it's a good video I had recorded yesterday itself. So I just want to cover some few points and then we'll go to the demo.
Yeah, and the last
So
we will
I
have
think
everybody to
the next
attend.
question, like what skills we need.
Sorry, everybody has the should wait for the end because there is a quiz, and the quiz winner will be also shared. They will have the special certificate to attend this webinar as well as the quiz winner certificate as well. So uh, please be patient to the end.
Yeah. So another question that I came across, like, what are the skill set? Because once you Google it, you will see like thousands of skills that companies are demanding, and also like it's very confusing nowadays. Like everywhere you what's like heard of some ice cream and you see the technology from that with this ice cream name. So it's very hard these days to having a one right set of path, and it's also very challenging for me. So what I did, like I tried to go through the job companies and try to create a kind of a common things, like what are the very common things in all the job descriptions. Mostly majority I gone through like more than 150 odd job descriptions and more than 50 interviews. So that's how I created a knowledge repo for me. And then I figured it out. Like first, you need cloud system, any of the cloud system, maybe be AWS, Azure, or Google, top three. So any of cloud systems run. Then you need to learn Python, and Python is a more demanding. And then you need to understand the data modeling. What is data modeling? And ETL. If you're a database guy, it's very easy. ETL and the SQL and non-SQL thing. And InfoSec is a key aspect because it's talk about the security aspects that I have covered, but there are a lot more to learn in this space. So InfoSec is not get a very relevant document, but it's experienced guy you can talk about. InfoSec is one of the key component, and also get confused with the Hadoop, Hive, and like other things. Even you don't know Hadoop and other things, it's okay. You can move to the data engineering space because once you jump into Hadoop and Hive and these old technologies, it's very vast and it's very hard to understand their concept as well. But believe me, if you land up in the cloud-based systems, it's very easy to transition and easy to crack the interviews as well. So yeah, I'll not take much time. We'll move ahead to the demo. And hello everyone. So as I mentioned
So
that I'll go through
just
the one demo, and that time can you hear the voice of this demo? Okay, so I'll try to play that. Ajay, can you hear the voice?
Was able to hear? Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I'll
yeah,
just
we
start
are
it
able to hear.
through the one demo. I think it's very that I'm going to cover related to the Azure Data Factory. So Azure Data Factory, as I mentioned, this is related to ETL. That is basically extract your data, transform and load the data at your destination location. And it has a managed service, so you can make the transformation from it. So if you go to the Azure portal and search for the Azure Data Factory, so that will come out as Azure Data Factory. And that is basically give you that whatever you have created, or you can go and create a new one. So to save that time, I'm not going to create new one. So, but it is going to be a very similar step. So one I have already created. So I'll give you that how it looks, and you can go and create your own. So if I open it, and also I'll cover that how you can make it secure. So both the way, like once you're not securing, what's the impact, and once you make it secure, like the companies that create for it, or it can be used for the production like code. So that I wanted to cover. So this is a home page, and under which you can go and create your pipeline. So and you can define the data set. So pipeline is that you can see that once you click on the pipeline, that will give you the option to what actions that you want to perform. So like you want to move that data, so you can use the copy, and there is a data flow. Data flow give you more granular access on the data, and then you can use Azure function, batch services, Databricks. A lot of things is there. So it's like a lot of things is already inbuilt, so you can go and use it. So once I click on the data flow, it asking me the my source location and the sink where I want to dump the data, and if any mapping is required. you can go and set that you can spin up more parallelism, and you can enable the logging. As of now we are not doing, but you can do it. So these are also like just you need to just click, you need not to write any code for it. So in which what I'm doing, like I'm taking the data and moving it to the different location. So you can go and let's open the storage account. So here this is the one of the storage account that I have created, and this storage account uh, I have created two folders there. One is input and another one is output. Okay, so I'll just delete that output folder so that we can run our pipeline and see that files are moving from here to this location. So let's move back to our data factory. So in this data factory, you can see, uh, so I have defined two data sets that basically connecting to our input location, and another data set that is basically creating to output location. So data set is basically you define that what location that like what exactly folder or maybe exactly the file you want to make your connection. So this is kind of a the way that we define the connection string, but you can define the what type of file and what type of uh, basically what type of storage is there. So whether it's a container, whether it's API, those things you can define. And these things are linked with the link services. So if I look back again, so link services, here we define the link services. So link services basically says that uh, how do basically you define the URL and in the service like you want to connect it. So this is a kind of integration between your external system to your Azure data factory. So that basically define a connection, okay, to pipeline. So this is the pipeline where we have drag and drop the, our data set that I have generated. So the delimited text one is our source and sync is our destination one. So if I run this pipeline, so what it basically does, it give me flow that yeah, this is getting created. So this is basically queued and this will run. So it will take some time to execute it because it gets like warm up, and then it will transfer that file. So it will take some time. Meanwhile, I'll show you like what else you can do here. So here you can connect with Azure Purview. Azure Purview is like you want to create a holistic view for all your data. You can connect with your Git repository. You can create a Azure resource management template that is basically used for the deployments, and you can define the triggers like when you want to basically run your pipeline. You can define on the basis of any scheduling that you want to define, or maybe you can defining some sliding window or maybe tumbling window through which uh, you can run like every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes. So those things are available. So you need not to like go and write some code. Basically you can define everything from here. You can define some parameters. You can have your credentials, your managed key, and finally I'll talk about this one, the managed endpoint. Just first I want to show you that whether how, yeah, so you can see that this corner successfully ran, and what it does basically, it transferred the data from your input location. So this is your input location, and if I go back, so I can show the file also get transferred to the output location. So this got transferred. So you can see there is no much code is required to write, like even not single line of code that you. Okay, so let's back to the security point of view. So here what I did, I created a managed private endpoint. So you can see I created a new managed private entity point, and this is our managed endpoint, and this is for our storage location. So my storage location is can't connect from anywhere. That's how I configured it. No one can directly connect it even from the Azure portal itself. So to achieve this, what I did basically, I defined If I go back to, yeah, so here I define the managed services, and also I spin up the one of the, I'll show you. Yeah, so I created integration runtime. So one you can see, this is the public one. This is the Azure give by default, but I have created a new integration runtime. So that is for where all the compute operations will work. So it's on not on the public network. It will be my managed virtual network, which is I have defined. And you can see this is defined the reason as well. So it's not like that anyone can connect it. So this this is the integration runtime where all the compute operation is running, and this one I have linked with our containers. So this is our storage location. And if I go to the networking, so you can see I have defined the private endpoint. And you can see this is this private endpoint for the our ADF that I have created. And that storage, this is the storage that is linked. So this have I have created it that it can link. And how I am accessing, I've also put my IP local IP address so that I can access. So if I remove my IP address here, basically, so I I will not able to, if I delete it, so I will not able to access the files from here. So that if I go back again and if I want to access the folders, so you can see that I'm not able to access. So definitely I have to put my IP address so that I can. So that's why like I have defined a private endpoint to access this and which is approved to access this one. So that's how it is getting access. It's not like that anyone which know that my credentials can access until and unless you are defined to either you have the IP address you added or it's a service is defined to be accessed. So that can only access this particular. So this is how you can make add the security bit here. So there are a lot of things to cover in it. Yeah, so I know it's a it's a take a lot of time, but I just wanted to give a gist that how you can implement and how it looks like. So yeah, Aditi, over to you. If you have any questions or maybe in the comment section, I'm happy to take.
Yeah, Nitis. Thank you very much for your presentation. This is a really nice presentation. But just I had one question. So suppose
Yeah.
my one of my client wants to use the open source product in Azure.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So in analytics platform, he will use ADF, but for processing part, he don't want to go Databricks or Synapse.
Mhm.
So, as per your experience, so how much SD Insight, as SD Insight is the open
Yes.
source product, right? So I use SD Insight Apache Spark cluster, and I can use
Mhm.
Apache Impla, I can use Kafka. So,
Yeah.
what is means how strong? Because I have not used, but what is the compatibility? I mean, do you see any real time project in SD Insight?
Yeah, frankly speaking, ST Insight, I never came across that anyone using, even because the reason being it's based on Hadoop as like Hadoop, but there is not much like functionality added over the period of time in SD Insight. So that's why it's a lot of custom uh, functions you need to build when you want to use the SD Insight. And really, like even I like worked on 3 or 4 projects. I never came across that someone is asking, even discussing about SD Insight. So it's not like if you want to use or suggesting any product to the client, it's better to
Mhm.
having that is more evolving and which has more features. So I'd say to go for Databricks or ADF or Synops is something it's now Microsoft putting a lot of focus and trying to make one solution which is inside it feather. It has the ADF, it has a clusters, Spark spools, so that can be used, and also uh, SQL itself like SQL data warehouse itself built in. So this is have more features and more advanced rather than SD Insight. So yeah, my answer is like don't go for it.
Okay. The last question. So just as you, all of me, us who are working for data engineering, right?
Yeah,
So as you know, right? So nowadays, client going for multi-cloud,
yeah,
right? So means say example, I am working on Azure Data Factory and ADF, whatever is when your data bricks. But
mm,
so say example, next day the client is coming to me. They wanted to some of the workloads they want to move to Google Cloud system.
yeah.
So what do you think? So how much time it will take us to understand?
So, like completely moving out of Azure, or you having some part in Google Cloud?
Yeah,
Yeah. So, it's a very similar concept, like in Azure and Google. Like it has their own side. Like it is using the BigQuery there, right? So BigQuery is for them. It's a more selling and critical part, like which basically do all those transformations. So, yeah, definitely you need to upgrade your skills and all if you're going for the Google Cloud. But still, I have used Google Cloud. It is lacking in features that Azure currently giving, and it is taking a lot of, and especially in terms of resourcing and all, like because it's not like client only not think about the technology, they have to think about the getting the new guys and developers who basically build that. So it's very hard to find those developers as well, and because it's very new, like Google is pretty new in that space, because Microsoft is giant in uh, building the products and having the like .NET and other things, which is products that can be built for the application. Google is pretty new in that space, so they are lacking in that giving the having the understanding of the developer's pain area and giving that more friendly way to implement the functionality, I would say.
Okay,
And
thank you. I think
uh,
that we need to respect the other's time as well. Is that done?
yeah, Ajay. Thank you,
Okay,
Ritesh.
cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. There is a quiz just now. I flashed onto the network. Can you onto your chat screen, please start the quiz, and you'll have 5 minutes to complete it. Are you able to access? Hello?
Yes, Ajay.
Yeah,
So
please. Are you able to access?
yeah.
Yes, yes.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Let's start. Your timer starts now. 5 minutes. Timer started. 10 seconds. Time up. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Please stop your test. And I must thank you everyone to join this. I hope the session was useful. Apologies for any problems here that due to the technologies. Um, if if you have any question, let me know now so that we can answer. Otherwise, feel free to drop. Any questions? Any last minute question, please?
uh, I did just one last thing. I think one of the questions have the wrong options. So
Mhm.
question number 3. So we'll take a mark for everyone. So yeah, we'll not count these questions. Okay. So question number 3, we'll give a mark to everyone. Okay. Yeah.
Feel
Thank
free
you.
to unmute yourself if you have last minute question. Olujotan, Shalini, Kavi.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So is I know the workshop. Thank you so much for the workshop. It's very useful. Very useful. Do you help in the area of securing roles in data engineering, probably maybe entry level roles, like from zero, no experience. I have a bit of experience, but I'm just asking, do you help people like
Oh
from
yeah,
zero?
that's where
Endpoint?
that's where Ritesh was very useful. Initially, we said that actually he had made so many transitions already to the people who wants to go into the data engineering career. So yes, we can help. And Ritesh is just part of one team member. We have complete system to help you. So you will get half an hour time or maybe a little bit more also. Don't worry about that. If you need any understanding or if you need any help in how to transition your career or if you need any help in if you got stuck somewhere and you want to have some kind of information from us that how to unlock that problem, feel free. You can always approach us.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
And this is I'm typing the email ID just now. You can come up with a question. Also, as part of this, you will have another link to be sent where you can book your time with our mentor like Ritesh. Okay, then I think anybody else, Kavit or Lalit?
No.
Cool. Thank you then.
Yep.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thanks
making us.
all. Thanks for your
All
time.
the best.
Thank you,
All the
guys.
best.